Dave, as a firefighter yourself, what recommendations and what precautions do you take when designing a radio system?
So, something that's near and dear to my heart is training and understanding. And what's really frustrating is we go out and sell all these TAC radio systems to these fire departments. They get brand new radios, they spend gobs of money on them, and they don't train with them. When I ask about training, right, we've had air pack drills, we do hose drills, we do ladder drills, we go out and driver train. And I ask these departments all the time, okay, when was the last time you had a radio drill? And there's kind of this blank stare. That is a disservice because when you look at the tools you use going to your automatic alarms, your car fires, all of that, the commonality is you always are using a radio. Whether or not you constantly use it, but almost every department we deal with, every pack has a radio. And that's great. But so many times I've heard, well, the radios suck because there's feedback. Right, the radios suck because there's feedback because they're working the way they're supposed to work. You just haven't learned how to use your radios the right way. Just because everybody has a radio doesn't mean every radio needs to be on every time. You need to understand what's going to happen when the radio doesn't work. So when I get into the building and I'm moving a hose line down the road or down a hallway and all of a sudden I can't hit command, what are you going to do? And so many times when I ask that question of our customers, it's again this blank stare. We've seen time and time again in the after actions, the radio, they were on a trunked radio system in a building and it didn't work. They were on a repeater and it didn't work. They ran out of conventional coverage and it didn't work. And the firefighter couldn't transmit the mayday or the mayday wasn't received. We as firemen need to spend a lot more time studying what am I going to do when. So we do when my air pack runs out, what do I do? When I get hung up, what do I do? If I have to bail out, what do I do? If there's a flashover, what do I do? Never do I hear the fireman talking about, well, when my radio doesn't work, I'm going to do this. And unfortunately, you're going to find out when your radio doesn't work at the exact wrong time. It's when you're going to need the radio to work. So what I want our customers to do is have radio drills and know that they can call us. We will send technicians out. We'll come out after hours. We'll go to your drills. It's something that really is near and dear to my heart, and I think everybody that works here. It's not just selling you the equipment. It's making sure you know how to use the equipment. And if you don't know how to use the equipment or you're using it wrong, we're doing a disservice to you and the taxpayers because it's not going to end well. And I just can't tell you when, right? We just know it has to be done right. And some of the other things we help the customers with once we find the radio coverage problems, we have a whole team here. You head the team up where we can do DAS and BDA, fireground radio systems. So when we identify it, and what we've really had a lot of success with is tying that back in with my brother's knowledge of the local building codes, the NFPA, and it's not a cost that should be borne by the fire department or by the taxing district. It's a cost that should be borne by the
It's
building.
no different than a fire alarm or a
Correct.
sprinkler system.
Correct.
It's saving lives and it's ensuring that
And
once the firefighter's in the building, they can
they
communicate
can
with one another.
communicate. That's the most important thing. And it's frustrating because the technology and the laws are on the books today. And in the communities that we serve, where the authority having jurisdiction, the AHJ, has not adopted the NFPA guidelines and is not forcing the building owners to put the BDAs in, it's a disservice to the firemen. It's a disservice to the community. The cost of adding that DAS or BDA to the building is incremental when you look at what they're building. And when it's done right, it helps everybody because now the cops' radios work, the firemen's
And
radios
what's
work.
a BDA? It's a
It's a repeater.
It's a repeater in a building with a distributed antenna system, and it's just amplifying
Amplifying the signal.
the existing radio system.
And when done right, it doesn't cause interference and it enhances the coverage of the building. And we know from past experience, from unfortunately losing firefighters and having firefighters injured, we know that when it's done right, people's lives are saved. So it's incumbent upon the departments that we work with to start pushing that into the AHJs.